Hey, what's up, guys? This is Church of Caboose, and welcome back to another episode of What's Going On in Destiny 2. However, this one could also probably be more like What's Going On in Destiny 2 / America. That's probably the best title for it. So, before we get too far on into it, I will give you guys some background. But if you enjoy the video, make sure you click that like button as well as subscribe to the channel. And I just want to give you guys a pretty little kind of cursor heads up. It is a continuation off of all that stuff that came up with, most notably, Lono, aka Say No to Rage, as well as some other developments that happened after I made last week's video. I'm going to try very hard not to get into actual detailed stories, more kind of let you guys know about what's been going on. And I'm going to reply to one, I'm not sure if a hate comment is the best way to phrase it, but this guy needs some learning, and it kind of worked out perfectly with what I was wanting to do with this video, because it's going to help me to stay on track and to actually talk about all the stuff that I was hoping to talk about. So I suppose, in a way, thank you, sir, for being a giant douche. Okay, so let's get into the video. So just to try and catch you guys real quick all up to speed, since this is a continuation from last week's video. Last week, around the weekend of June 21st or so, we found there was a lot of folks that came out saying that they were sexually harassed and or assaulted by various big name streamers. The one I was most familiar with and surprised by was Lono, who runs the channel Say No to Rage. And he had several people come out being like, yeah, this dude's creepy. There were things that were found out, like Gardening Con or perhaps other summit type events that said, hey Lono, you're banned from showing up because you are being ridiculously inappropriate, and we want this to be a safe place where people can come and have fun, not be touched and groped and stared at by you, you creepy bastard. So that's kind of what kind of came up last weekend when I did my video. He did a couple of apology videos, and he deleted one off of Twitter. Then the other one he put on his YouTube channel, and it started off great. I was like, hey, you know what? This guy seems crazy sincere. And then he got to the part where he's like, as far as the touching goes, I don't remember. And I was like, well, now I don't give a crap, because you're pulling the classic I don't remember. So like, you're trying to be like, I can't say it wasn't me, but I'm also saying I did it. Like, it's a weird gray thing to try and do, and you're basically just trying to pass off the blame. And since you admitted to being high and drunk and shit, I can't say anyone's like, well, your memory must be great about what happened there. So that's kind of what happened last weekend. And then as the days progressed, we found out there were various Discord communities and perhaps clans. One was OJ, and the other one was, I believe, BSK. That's right, BSK, that's the one. We're doing things like having Discord communities where they would share nudes, they would hack people's accounts by finding like their IP addresses and sharing it. People were DDoSing, and there are whole bunches of big names of Destiny people that at one point or another may or may not have had some sort of a tie to one or both of these groups. And one particular streamer, MTash, she's like, yeah, so I was kind of a part, I forget which one, I think it was BKS or that one, BSK, that one. I don't know why I keep flipping around. BSK, but it was at the end, and none of it was going on. I swear, I would have like he was really clear. Like, I had no idea, and all this other stuff. And I'm actually really inclined to believe him, just because of what I know about him. And seeing the video, you can tell a lot by people's face. So that was a huge thing that was going on. Another big development in gaming. Mixer is getting shut down. They had one of their really top, I'm not sure how high up the ladder, but like way high up the ladder, boss people was like, all of our content creators on Mixer are our slaves, and would say racist stuff to like the only African American employee that worked for Mixer, and I guess by association worked for this individual. And so Microsoft is like, you know what? Mixer's done. We're not supporting it anymore. Bye-bye. We'll just switch everything over to Facebook Gaming. So if you're on Mixer, I would imagine you're aware of this, but you might want to consider Twitch now or Facebook Gaming. I don't know which one's the better of the two options. I'm just letting you know Mixer is going away, so you got to change up what you're doing and maybe you have enough time to let your fans know if somehow I'm the first person that's letting you know that this is a thing. So that kind of catches you guys all up what's going on within the actual like gaming Destiny 2 community. Unfortunately, it's more about gaming in general, and this is going to take us more into the part that's about this particular brand of douchebag that in one way made it really easy for me to stay on track and let you guys know what's going on, and we're going to talk about my thoughts, feelings, and some facts. So let's get on into this. So I was getting on my computer today. It's like, I'm just kind of curious. My last video was doing pretty decent compared to how I normally do. So it's like, I'm just kind of curious what's going on. And I saw I had a new comment. And I was like, all right. I'm trying really hard to make sure I reply to everybody. So I looked on it, and I got to see this gem of just awfulness appear, and so we're going to share this with you guys. We're going to read through it, break it down, because it's going to work really well for what I was planning on doing anyways. So here is a screenshot of the comment. So the comment reads as follows. You are a part of the problem. You enable women to attack successful men without proof. In the United States, you're proven innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. Until I see a guilty charge, these drama queens are lying. You're just a white knight who thinks catering to Me Too will get you chicks. It's pathetic. Oh, and white lives matter just as much as black lives. The phrase Black Lives Matter is racist. I'm Choctaw Indian. I apologize if I say that wrong. I'm doing my best. By the way, you don't hear me crying Red Lives Matters. You know why? Because what happened to my people is in the past. It's not. I'm not going to use the pain and loss of my ancestors as a crutch to get pity. I've got seeing called dignity. I'm assuming he means something, but whatever. He edited it and left in seeing. So I felt like it was worth saying I've got seeing dignity, or called dignity. So let's break this thing down. So let's break down this wonderful gem of a comment. You're a part of the problem. You enable women to attack successful men without proof. In the United States, you're innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. Until I see a guilty charge, these drama queens are lying. All right. I just gotta know, how can you prove so-and-so grabbed my breast, so-and-so grabbed my butt, so-and-so stared at me, so-and-so said this, unless you're advocating for constantly having surveillance? Like, I've heard stories from folks in China, right? Like, China's got insanely surveilled population. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, they can do things like know who you're with and who you're friends with and who those guys are friends with and what you tend to do. Like, it's ridiculous. Is that the kind of level of surveillance we want to have all the time? Or would we rather maybe, just maybe, take people's words for it every now and then, because not everybody is lying? And now, sure, there you can find cases where like, but church, and this person at so-and-so was lying and made up allegations of rape. Yes, that happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But the alternative is to be so surveyed and have cameras on us so much in the ridiculous proportions that I don't want to live in that world. I don't think really any of us want to live in that world. So I guess, Cheeto, what would you do? What would you propose we should do in order to be able to prove things such as that so-and-so grabbed my butt or my breast or stared at me or said these things? Because I imagine you watched the first video. I'm going to probably do something in the title that make it maybe be like, oh, what's this mofo doing now? And watch this. So let me know, man. What do you think we should do instead? I'm genuinely curious. Now let's kind of look at this whole innocent until proven guilty stuff. That is part of a criminal court of law, and then to some degree civil law. However, how much do you have to prove what changes drastically from criminal to civil. So since something like this should normally be criminal, we're just going to focus on that criminal side of law. And if you haven't noticed, I have a degree in criminology and criminal justice. I took law classes. I'm not a lawyer, but I know more basic stuff than probably at least a handful number of people do. So I hope you guys don't just throw my words out of the bat saying I'm just a crazy lunatic. Okay, so How court works is yes, you are innocent until proven guilty. However, I would argue, based off of various cases in some juries, that that is almost never actually applied in the case of minorities. But we're going to ignore that part and just go with, yes, you are right. Too bad these streamers and community people aren't going to a court of law where that statement would give a damn. That doesn't matter. All this is the simple American of, well, you did something I don't like. I choose not to support you. I'm going to cut off my ties and sponsorships, so on and so forth, however I see fit. Or the opposite of, I see these people are accusing you of stuff, but you know what? I'm okay with it. Innocent until proven guilty, or I just don't care. I'm going to continue supporting you. Either way is fine. However, I would argue in a lot of these streamers' instances, I would think we want to go more on the cut them out kind of a thing, because that validating their platforms validates their past choices. But that's just me, because it's America. Like this guy likes to say in here, in the United States, you're innocent until proven guilty. You're right, but again, it's not a court of law. They go to court and they're risking jail time. By all means, they have to be able to prove I'm 100% with you. It can't always just be he said, she said. But when it comes to how we choose to support folks, it doesn't matter. People writing, what are the personal gains these people have? Some folks have been advocating, church, that these more people should go in and like the content and watch from these female streamers because of all this stuff. True, that came about. However, I didn't see a single person that was saying I was assaulted, harassed, whatever the case is, being like, so by the way, you should stop watching them and watch my channel. That never came up. Maybe it was none of them were that I could find were posting being like, hey, I was harassed, you guys should stop watching them and come watch me. That wasn't a thing. They were like, so this stuff happens, it's been giving me nightmares for years, and I feel like I really need to talk about it because I want this happening to other people, because if I say nothing, and if I see something and don't say anything, then it could happen to somebody else, and then they could have those nightmares that I'm having, and if I had only said something, maybe those people wouldn't have had those nightmares, and so if I say something, I can end the perpetual cycle of abuse. That's why people say this stuff. God, I know I've got more education on a piece of paper that says I paid more attention for 4 years, allegedly, to know this stuff. But surely some of you guys have been able to can think for yourselves and hopefully either be like, oh, church is bringing up some good points. Because you know what? In full honesty, I used to be like this guy. I used to say the exact same crap. Maybe not verbatim, but pretty similar. I'm not a Native American, so I definitely never said that stuff. But I used to. But then you know what? I kind of grew up. I paid attention to people. I started being like, you know what? Maybe I'm 22 and I don't know everything. Let's try and see what other people have to say. And huzzah! My mind expanded. So Cheeto, I hope you listen to this and get your mind expanded a little. I'm not saying you have to agree, because that's up to you. I'm just saying you should at least not blow me off and just put some original thought into what I'm saying, and maybe look up some other people. I'm not a genius. Other people say things great, which is a great tie-in to something that Jez said. He put out a great tweet in regard to all of this, and I really wanted to work it in here, so this is my best attempt to work it on in here. So in a thinly veiled attempt to keep this part of the video at least somewhat Destiny 2 themed, Jez is a big streamer for Destiny 2. He tweets, "The Destiny community is sunsetting its bad apples right now, and I want to thank Bungie for teaching us that concept. Just to clarify, we won't be reintroducing the same bad apples at a higher power level in future seasons, though." He is talking about these streamers who have been going around doing all kinds of this terrible stuff. Hearing the horrific stories from my wife about misconduct and sexually inappropriate behavior by men towards her, to the courageous women coming forward right now, I hear you, I believe you, and I support you. So that Cheeto being like, we got to have proof, you know what? Think about if it was you or someone you loved about. Sure, maybe you can't take them to court. But don't you think the experience and people just need to be able to believe and just at least let folks speak out about what their experience is? Okay, now we're going to move on to the other part of the video where we continue through the comment. I just wanted to make a thinly veiled attempt at keeping this Destiny 2 themed. Let's move on past that whole innocent till proven guilty thing. Oh, I guess last little thing. I'm not sure why you're emphasizing just the United States, because you know how YouTube works is it's international, right? So not just the United States is being influenced by these different people. So, and your argument with the United States is invalid. Okay, anyway, so you're just a white knight who thinks catering to Me Too will get you chicks. It's pathetic. Okay, first of all,
I'm married.
So I can't say I'm really all about the chicks. I'm just more all about people trying to, feel safe, be able to go places, not have to have people being like banned because they do really weird, creepy stuff, and then folks are like, that's okay. There's no proof. Well, clearly there's enough proof because Lono got banned from things like Guardian Con and summits. So at the very least, there was enough proof and enough issues where that was justifiable. So I would argue there is actually some proof. You dickweed. Okay, now let's see here. I am pathetic. Oh, I get that too. Whatever. Yeah, you're probably not the only one that thinks that. And white lives matter just as much as black lives. This is continuing through the comments, by the way. The phrase Black Lives Matters is racist. Oh my god. Okay. There's so much wrong with this whole thing, but my wife sent me a deal, and I'm going to have a link for it down below, where it was an article it's from a publisher called Parents, where they put stuff out that's so simple even your kids can understand it, because it's to help you parent your kids. So we're gonna break down this article about why they say why that whole thing is all messed up. Number one, we never said only Black Lives Matters. I was going to bring that up on my own until my wife sent me this thing. Number two, by the way, these points all have various explanations and stuff with them. I just feel like for the sake of the video, I got to kind of get through it, but I highly encourage you guys to read this. Also, God is Gray, or Brenda from God is Gray, I'll try to have a link to her channel down below, did a video about an individual we're going to talk about later, and you should make sure you check that out, but it also kind of applies to this stuff. Anyways, number two, it's this house that's on fire. So there's a little video link, and it's basically someone's like, hey, this guy's house is on fire. I want to go help put it out. And this other person's like, well, what about my house? But the other person, person number two, their house isn't on fire. So person number one's like, is your house on fire? And person number two is like, no, but all houses matter. And so then person number one's like, well, I mean, that house needs help right now because it's on fire. So we should, take care of that house and we can help yours out later. That's exactly what Black Lives Matters is doing. Like, God. Oh my goodness. It's the brains on some people these days. Oh my gosh. Okay, number three, a broken bone. And it's got a little comic thing that says, it's a couple of gingerbread men. And one of them's got a broken leg. It's like, oh, my leg. And another gingerbread man's like, oh, I'll help. And then they're like, oh, say, Doe, get help, talking to another one. And then the person that's the gingerbread that was at being like, hey, go get help, says, what about my legs? Like, I feel like that's a pretty good visualization of this whole thing as well. I really hope you guys check out the article. Number four, the implicit two. This Reddit thread uses an analogy of a family dinner to explain that two is implied at the end of the statement. Black Lives Matters should be more like Black Lives Matters 2 is kind of what they're going for with all of that, is my take of it. 5, all plates matter. Same kind of a thing. And 6, a simple breakdown, which again is a little video with some explanation. Fantastic article. Make sure you guys read it. Now for my take on this whole thing. Yes, Black Lives Matter, and so do all lives. Because I've had people be like, but church, there's way more white folks being killed than African Americans. So, white people aren't being but white lives matters. Well, let me tell you something, buddy. Here's how terminologies work. If you're a minority, does that mean that there's a lot more of you or a lot less of you than somebody else? I'll give you a second to think about it. It means there's a lot less of you. So we're just going to get some simple numbers here. So they say you have 100 apples. 20 of them get ravagely eaten by deer, and then they weren't supposed to get eaten at all. So that's 20% that were killed by deer. Then you've got 1,000 green apples, and 100 of those green apples get eaten. Oh my gosh, the percentage ratio changes. So if we've got, say, a certain number of African Americans being killed by police, and then an insanely larger number of white folks being killed by police, Like, first of all, why don't we care that white folks are being killed by police? Like, why are we being quiet about that? I guess is one question to ask if someone brings this all up. Like, okay, so you don't mind? But anyways, the main thing is the percentage of white folks being affected like this by police is drastically lower than the percentage of the African American community, the Latino community, and so on and so forth. I'm not trying to leave out any community in general. I just don't know all of them, and those are the first that came to the top of my head. So get out of here with your whole Black Lives Matters thing is racist. God, you saying all lives matters to me it's like walking up to a breast cancer rally, and you got your sign that's like, all cancer matters. Well, of course, all cancer matters. It just happens to be this rally is supporting, or this walk, whatever it is supporting breast cancer. So they're not opposed to what you're saying, that all cancers matter. They're just trying to bring specific awareness to that one kind of a cancer. So maybe get off your high horse and let's just all band together. Okay, all right, now let's see here. Next part of this whole thing that he goes on for. I'm Choctaw Indian. By the way, again, if I said it wrong, I apologize. Doing my best. You don't hear me crying Red Lives Matter. You know why? Because what happened to my people is in the past. Oh my... Okay. Oh, it's not in the past! I just did a cursory Google search because I remembered a while back seeing something about how like America promised to give millions in aid for COVID to these different reservations, and then they didn't and sent body bags and stuff instead. And so like that's what the screenshot is. I just put in Google something about like how did America help Native Americans during COVID, or something like that, and that's what I found. We got headlines including things like sent body bags instead of medical aid. And like we're supposed to give money, or just look at the screenshot. Like obviously the systemic racism against your people and other Native Americans is not in the past. It is actively happening right now. I used to work as an armed security guard, and we had so many poor, not doing well in life Native American people because of various factors that are implemented against them by the United States government that also lead to things like more prone to alcohol addiction and all this other stuff. That's a whole broad topic. But it's not in the past, bro. Or I guess I shouldn't say bro. It's not in the past, you Cheeto. It's happening like right now. And if you can't see it, then I'm guessing lucky you. I'm glad you get to have to not worry and experience all of that, because you are definitely not in the broad spectrum then of that community and what they are experiencing. So we're going to leave that part alone. Now let's go on to things being in the past. So we all remember how George Floyd, that was the murder that kind of started really started this most recent part of this movement, and honestly got me way more on board than I ever was in the past. And recently after that, within I believe it was a week or so, President Trump was like, "Hey, so chokeholds are now illegal, except for in the event of an officer's life." And this is important. I'm kind of painting a picture for you guys. And we had a kid, not a young man, I believe he was 23, Elijah McDaniels, within the last couple of days, week or so. Yeah, you want to take a gander about how that young man was murdered? Chokehold. Same way as George Floyd, and by the same department, I'll have you know, that covered up an officer who was passed out drunk. If I remember right, they could have been high as well because of prescription drugs, while on duty with his foot on the brake so his patrol car could have rolled forward, and he was carrying a firearm. And when police showed up, like his fellow officers, they kind of conveniently turned off their cameras. They didn't do blood tests. They pushed him through as a medical emergency because they wanted to make sure their buddy wasn't going to get in trouble for being drunk and high on the job. So the same department, I feel like you guys needed to know that, murdered Elijah. They murdered Elijah, and there's like evidence from these different articles that show that either body cameras were turned off or were like purposely angled to be like where they wouldn't capture anything, but they damn sure made sure that the phrase "he's going for your gun" was in there. And the reason I want you guys to know about Aurora is because if you were to see that and like, oh well, I mean Elijah was going for the officer's gun, at that point it's a justified like justified actions, right? Well, I would argue with you based off that department's history and also the fact that police across the nation are being fired for racist things. One of them, there's a couple that were fired for saying things like "let's gear up to slaughter some African Americans." I don't think we can really take their word for it anymore, honestly. And Colorado recently instituted, I believe it's a law or a policy, where if an officer is on witness and they're to give testimony and their body camera got turned off for any reason, then they're considered to be, their testimony is thrown out, and that officer's actions are then considered to be a malfeasance, which is a negative, like you have bad intent with what you were doing. So we can't even try and be like that stuff about it. We can't believe our own police anymore. And so I kind of feel like that really wraps up what this guy was talking about. There isn't much left in the comment. He's just like, I'm not going to use my past to get pity, and I've got seen called dignity. You know what? Just because you're a dick, dude. That's the only reason why I'm saying I got seen called dignity, because you edited your post and you still had that blatant typo. Normally I wouldn't care, because you know what? I make typos all the time. But because what you said was so outrageous, it feels like it's worth mentioning again. I got seen called dignity. Okay, so what can we do to try and help with these different things like sexual harassment, abuse, racism, etc.? What can we try to do? So what can we try to do? Let's first start off with sexual harassment and assault, because this guy wanted proof. I suppose if you were to see something fishy, say something. Tell the dude to get off. Maybe try to get some sort of an audio recording. I don't know. Clearly people feel like they need to have lots of evidence, and so maybe that's an option you could go. That's kind of a weird option, and I would more advocate for this. Listen and believe people. Don't just assume they've got some negative reason for coming out and being like, yeah, so I was raped, I was assaulted, harassed, molested, whatever. Listen to them, believe them, and try to help them get through it. If it's just as simple as just being like, hey, I'm here for you, if you ever need to talk, great. And don't just be like, well, were you dressed like a slut? Or, yeah, you must have been drunk, right? I don't know, maybe you're giving off signals that you didn't realize. Nah, just be like, all right, that was awful. How can I help? Whatever happened to human society way back when someone needed help, your neighbor would help you out? Now it's just like, oh, I don't know. They must have some personal gain reason for making up some kind of bullshit or something. So make sure we're all listening and helping each other. There's also organizations you can donate to. I do know, at least when I was working as an armed guard, I was more familiar with some case managers and stuff, and it was brought up that there is actually across the nation a lot more women that are in these different kinds of homeless situations and whatnot because of this kinds of abuse, of rape, abusive partners, and folks not listening to them. And so it's just easier to leave, and as a result of a whole bunch of other stuff, ended up being homeless. So we're kind of this weird thing where all we have to do is really just believe people and just try to support them, and then maybe we can also do things like take money off the taxpayers, so that way you're not having to help fund these homeless shelters and all kinds of social programs. Even if you hate women, but you love we all want to keep our money, right? So even if from a purely selfish standpoint, it makes more sense to believe people when they say I have been X, Y, and Z, because it also could help long term save you quite a bit money in tax dollars. So I wanted to just kind of throw that out there. It's not the biggest point, obviously. It's terrible, and people need to get punished. And then that leads into the next thing, is we unfortunately have to report stuff to police. I know I just kind of spent a good long chunk of time ragging on police. I do know there's a lot of reforms going on, and if a lot of stuff pops up, maybe I'll cover it. Who knows? I'll have to find a way of somehow making it Destiny-ish related and tie it in. But anyways, report things to police. Part of why people tend to feel like, well, it seems really weird you waited a couple of years, must be for personal gain, is because it is kind of, if you're I guess just an idiot who only cares about yourself, it is a little weird to be like, well, why'd you wait for X number of years? Why didn't you say something then? Now, sometimes it's because, say if you're a teen and you got raped, or maybe you were somewhere you weren't supposed to be, so you're worried about getting in more trouble from your parents, and because parents seem scared. That could be a thing. But it's more because of all this kinds of stuff. People know if they come out and say something, they're going to get lots of ridicule, people aren't going to believe them, and it's all ridiculous, which is why I'm mentioning report stuff to the police last. Because if we do the first couple of things, reporting stuff to the police will become more and more common. And so report things. Don't let folks get away with doing stuff. It's way harder to prove that someone touched or stared at you or raped or assaulted you if it's years after the fact, because things like that are evidence that tends to heal itself and get washed away. So if you have to report stuff to police, if you happen to find yourself in a situation where you're assaulted or God forbid, raped, I know a lot of folks really feel like they need to take a shower. It's kind of a human instinct to kind of try and clean yourself off and cleanse yourself. But for the love of God, you need to just go to a police station, go to a hospital, let them do a rape kit. Because if you take a shower and if you give it time for stuff to heal, you could get rid of almost all of the evidence. Okay, so now let's talk about what we could try to do to help with racism. So if you see something, say something. So many cops are being held accountable when they're doing things because some Joe Schmo across the street notices something's up and whips out their phone. Like, that has been proving over and over to help. We had, I'm going to say his name wrong, at the case in Georgia, Ahmaud Arbery, I believe is how you say it. His case only came up again after someone released cell phone footage. They completely blew it off when it first happened. Then we have George Floyd. I'm not sure how big of a deal it would have been if people hadn't taken out their phones and recorded. And then we have more cell phone footage with Elijah, which is part of why this came out, was because people saw this and recorded it. So if you guys are seeing stuff, report, take out your phones, get badge numbers, report them to the police. If we do all in fact believe that police aren't going to go after white people, and you happen to be someone like myself and is white, and you see someone, intervene. Put yourself between that person and the cop, and maybe if this is the thing, they'll leave it alone and take different courses of action. So try to stand up for each other, provide lots of proof, and guys, just be decent to each other. I'm not saying you gotta love everybody or like everyone's your best friend. Like, nah, some people are toxic and they're dicks, and you don't need to be around them whatsoever, and there's no need to keep them in your life. I'm just saying, don't be rude to people in general. Like, just treat everyone how you would like to be treated, and odds are all these issues will go away slowly. I can't imagine a lot of these sexual assaulters and rapers are like, oh yeah, I wish someone would come and assault or rape me. That would be the best. Like, that's probably not ever a thing. Usually it's more about the power and the authority and making themselves feel like they're big old individuals and they're big in their britches by doing this stuff. So, like, we gotta just be kind to each other. Alright guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. Please let me know what you think down below. I do not intend to be a drama channel. If you're gonna try and be like, this is just drama, church. Alright, first of all, it's fucking human rights, and this is the first time I've used an F-bomb, I'm pretty sure, in my videos. It's so like, it's not being drama to say people deserve a right to live in the pursuit of happiness and to have constitutional rights and enjoy the same quality of life that most other people enjoy. Like, that is just standing up for what is right. So if we're going to try and be like, church, you're just being dramatic. Well, know what? Well, you can unsubscribe if you want and just leave. I'm fine with that. That's whatever. Get out of here. I'm not going to stop trying to stand up for folks, even though I have a tiny platform. Dab nubbit, I've got a platform, so I will try to use it. Alright, y'all, I really hope to make more actual Destiny 2 videos. There's not a whole lot going on in the game right now. This thing that's going on is huge, near and dear to my heart, and I feel like it's worth covering. I feel like silence at this point is compliance. Like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything, so I'm cool with it. That's just kind of how I feel about it, so that's why I want to make sure I say something, and I really, really care about this whole deal. So, back to end of this video with more Destiny stuff. I really want to get back to more Destiny 2 things. Unfortunately, the game's dead as hell right now. Not even the prophecy dungeon, I feel like, needs a guide. It's like one mechanic that you do over and over with slightly different results. And that's basically it. So, I don't feel like the dungeon needs a guide, but if you let me know, I probably will do it if enough people are like, yeah, do one. And so hopefully we can get back to Destiny 2 soon. If you need a clan, Vengeful Lunas has grown. We now have a PC clan and we have another Xbox clan, and we're around 250-ish members or so. So if you need a clan for either PC or Xbox, or just want to have really fun, cool dudes to deal with. Let me know in the comment down below, and we'll make sure you guys get a link. Just so you all know, Discord stays clean. We are on it, and everyone's having a lot of fun. This is actually the first time I've been a part of a clan where people care about it enough where they paid money to boost the Discord server so they can access more stuff. I've never had that happen before, and so I thought it was worth mentioning to you guys. And this is actually going really well, and I think most people will have a good fit. We don't try to be a sweaty clan. We're just a clan for folks that really enjoy Destiny, and we do have sweaty players. We have new players. We have casuals, and basically everything between a noob and the sweatiest of the sweat. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.